Okay, so you guys just seen the video of this engine running on the test stand. This is the fart. Camera mount let go, which is a piece of painter's tape. Anyways, yes, I know I need a tripod. For those of you that have told me so many times. Anyhow, moving on. So this is the engine that we had on the test stand. This is an OS12 CV that I built out of my bin of junk parts, and I wasn't actually expecting it to run as well as it did. Surprisingly, the gasket here is kind of blown out at the carburetor, but it didn't do too bad. This is a 8x6. It says thimble drone on there, or thimble drone, whatever. I have no idea who makes the prop, but it was in and amongst all my stuff, so I decided to use it. So now we are going to tear it apart and have a look inside. I did use... Oh, it's really fucking tight on there. One of these cheap eBay cylinder pinches, which are terrible. They oval your cylinder and they just don't work that well, and you can end up overdoing it, and then your engine will never fit back together again, or your piston and sleeve will never fit back together again, I should say. Which is, NFG. No fucking good at all. So we're going to take that off, take our prop driver off. There's a good amount of oil in that fuel. I mean, 25% oil, so I mean, wasn't starving, that's for sure. I might ball that up. And this pipe is from an RC10 GT, Team Associated is what it's from. The manifold came off of a Pro 15, I believe, for a T-Max or something. So we're going to have a look in there and see what we got in there. See how that piston looks after all that shenanigans today. I ran 8 ounces of, this is Traxxas top fuel right here, that I've added, well, not that whole bottle, but the 8-ounce tank I used, I added extra castor oil too. Let's see what's he got in there. Ooh, awful lot of play in that connecting rod. Thought the engine started to sound a little bit noisy. Let's see what we got back there. Notice right towards the end, towards the last, maybe ½ ounce of the tank, or most of an ounce of the tank, it started sounding a little bit different to me. So we're going to see if there's any kind of carnage. I mean, if this engine never runs again, or, you know, it's completely screwed or something, I'm not really worried about it, because I have literally no money invested in it whatsoever, except for a little bit of time, maybe half an hour. Or an hour tops, maybe. So, more or less just an experiment to see what would happen. You know, I'd like to see this engine live a little bit longer, so we'll see what we can do. And there's the back plate. Cool little rotary design on the back there. Looks like it's been rubbing. Oh, pretty clean in there. We'll get ourselves a clean paper towel and have a look, shall we? I will remove the cylinder head after in a second. Oops. Okay. It doesn't look bad in there at all. Everything feels smooth. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't look bad at all. I don't see any metal shavings in there. There is, I don't know if you guys can see it. My lighting sucks. I don't have a flashlight at the moment either, which kind of annoys me, but there's quite a bit of play in that connecting rod. Let's just ignore that for now and remove the cylinder head. Yeah, this engine sustained probably about 5 minutes left at wide open throttle. Unfortunately, my camera which the one I'm using right now did not record me starting it or that the full throttle run that I'm talking about, because I had this thing wide open just to see what would happen, and I thought I was filming and it turned out I wasn't, so that was kind of an annoyance. Everything there looks okay. The piston doesn't look bad so far. Let's see if we can get this. There's a head gasket. Let's see if we can pop this sleeve out of there. Don't recommend. Well, maybe I have another zip tie I can stick through the exhaust port. Just use my pliers to turn the... I don't recommend using pliers to turn crankshafts at all. It's not really a good idea. But like I said, I'm not into this engine for any sort of money. This is just because the sleeve fits very tight in this block. Okay. Let's see if we can pop up that sleeve. Oh, nope. Being a bugger. Oh, it doesn't help when your hands are greasy either. Alright, let's have a look at that sleeve for a minute. Let's see if there's any kind of funny business going on in there. This is some alcohol. Like I said, I'm working on getting a tripod. I bought one the other day, but it turned out it was the wrong one to fit my phone that I'm using at the moment. Focus. Come on. You guys probably won't be able to tell, but looking in the light, everything looks really good in there, actually. There's no scores, there's no funny spots. Everything seems pretty good in there. Let's have a look at that piston and see what it looks like. Should have brought my thin little pliers out so I can grab it. I guess I'll have to use my big ones. There's our piston. And if any of you out there know what you're looking for, you'd realize that this connecting rod is actually the wrong one for this engine. OS 12 and 15 CV connecting rods are the same, but they don't look like this at all. Piston looks to be in pretty good shape, actually. Oh, don't want to lose that. It's a little Teflon puck. Let's see if we can pop this rod out here and have a look-see. Oh, this piston looks... It already had those kind of discoloration marks on it. But for the most part, that looks to be pretty good. Alright, let's have a look at that connecting rod. What the hell did I think? I just might throw this thing back together, just hold it wide open until it blows up. I don't know. But, okay, so we can see there's a oil hole here. If we can get it to focus. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Anyways, you guys saw it. And then there's an oil hole. Sometimes this thing focuses really good, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, there we go. You guys can see it there. That hole was never there before I put that hole there. For obviously lubrication reasons. And this top pin bore was actually too small for this wrist pin to go through. I don't know what connecting rod this engine is out of, or where it even came from. I just noticed that it was the correct length, and it was the only thing I had laying around. So what I did is I took a drill bit that was slightly larger, the same diameter as this pin, drilled it out, and then just worked the pin back and forth with oil until it fit perfectly. So that's what I did there. But everything seems to be... Let's pop that crank out and have a look. You can see it's pretty clean in there. Not going to bother putting this back together on camera because I guess you guys have already figured out it's just the reverse of what I already did. Okay. The crankshaft looks good. This is for a bump start engine. That's why it has this funny little back plate here. And no pull starter. This engine was a real bugger to get started by hand because I couldn't flick it fast enough. These marks are already here. I can't feel them with my thumbnail, so I'm not too worried about those. There's a little bit of play there. It's not horrible, but as long as I run a higher oil content fuel like what I was already doing, I think it'll hold together for a little while longer. And that gasket's not even supposed to be there. These, what is it, a 10E, OS 10E carburetor, there's not supposed to be a gasket here at all. It's just when you tighten up your high-speed needle, it kind of crushes this plastic piece, which makes the seal. So, and it's missing the dust boot here. But other than that, there's no play in the throttle shaft or anything like that. It's all in really nice shape still. And like I said, this engine is, the piston wasn't from this sleeve. This connecting rod, I have no idea where it came from or what engine it's from. This crank, I don't even know what motor. I know it's from an OS 12 CV or a 15 CV. I have no idea. You know, so the bearings, I believe, are out of a 15 that were kind of seized out of my junk bin, so I took them and sprayed them with Super Clean to get all the goop out of them. And this carburetor was unknown, and this block was in unknown condition. It was actually in really poor condition. This whole thing was completely full of varnish when I got it. So there she be. There's a little bit of a OS 12 CV junk bin / airplane teardown after the run. A look inside, I guess. If you guys watch David McIntyre, awesome guy. Anyways, tubers, I'm going to end this video here and keep burning nitro.